and welcome to this special series of Ingram Micro's B2B Tech Talk podcast, Coffee with Women in Tech, with your host, Harpreet. This is a show where incredible women in technology share their stories and successes. Why should a woman consider a career in tech? Well, that's exactly what we're going to talk about in this series, where you'll learn why tech is just the place to be for women.
So hello everyone and welcome to a brand new episode of Coffee with Women in Tech podcast. Today I have with me Estelle Johannes, Senior Director at CompTIA. Hello Estelle, how are you today?
Oh, I'm very well and thank you so much for having me. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. It's great to have you here. So Estelle, first of all, congratulations on featuring in CRN and HB Diversity A-List. Huge honor. How did that feel?
Oh, thank you. Yes, it was really great, and it was fantastic to read everyone else's amazing journeys as well. So first of all, it was a great honor, and secondly, it's nice to see that we get a platform to talk about very important topics and to show that everyone has a journey. Everyone is also trying to do the right thing and make sure that we have our voices heard. And to have it shared out in a public forum, a very well-known publication. So it was a great opportunity.
Sounds fantastic. So talking of journey, tell us a bit about your career journey. How did you get into this industry?
So I think a lot of people have the same sort of, it happened accidentally, right? It wasn't my intention. I studied marketing in Cape Town, South Africa, where I'm originally from, and came over to the UK with a dream and just a twinkle in my eye. I had a few not so nice jobs, right? So doing a bit of sales, tally sales, it made me grow as a person. But then I got the opportunity to work for an IT consultancy. And then did things from event planning to contracting, actually did some sales as well. And then grew into the community role. And the one thing I can say about just being in the tech industry and being involved with just different people, different walks of life, it really is, it's a very open, as much as it looks like a male-dominated industry, I have found in my experience that it has been a very open industry where I was given plenty of opportunities, plenty of, chances to try something new because my boss at the time was like, hey, if you can try some things and tinker with a couple of things and see if it works and you don't break anything, go ahead and do that. So it was really given that autonomy as well to be able to try new things and explore different avenues to make the business grow. And anyone out there who worked for a smaller company understands the advantages of that because you have to wear so many hats. From office manager to you are actually the tech support person switching things on and off and fixing the printer and making sure that all of those things work as well. So it just gave me a really great sort of foundation for I suppose being very flexible in the jobs that I do and also to be very autonomous and get stuff done. So that was me accidentally falling into the tech industry, but so grateful for the opportunity because it really is a fantastic place to work.
I so agree with you. This is what I've heard most of the times, that women just land in this industry. They don't make a conscious decision to be part of IT unless they land here by chance. Would you like to share any reasons why they should consider a career in tech?
Yes. So I think that in general, when I started in my 20s, so a very long time ago, the room felt different, right? You walk into a room, it's very male dominated. And I think that there was a purposeful shift in elevating women in the industry, and you can see the results now. I see so many role models, so many women in leadership roles. And so I think that the old way of how the tech industry was structured and who was sitting at the top table has really changed. Not just women in tech. I think there's so much more focus on inclusion, on creating a better culture for people to feel like they can be their authentic self. I just think that there might be some other industries that are not as progressive as we are. I can see the change. I can feel the change. We have a long ways to go, but there certainly has been like just huge strides in moving forward with being a more inclusive industry.
Absolutely. And I totally agree, because I think progress has been made, especially in the last few years when, we see so many female leaders, so many role models, and companies are starting to reevaluate their policies, for example, just to have a more diverse and inclusive workplace. So in your opinion, what more then can be done by these companies, by tech companies, to promote a diverse and inclusive culture?
So that's a great question. That's kind of the $1 million question, isn't it? What more can we do? I think not being scared of putting a foot wrong, or so I feel like there's this sort of analysis paralysis at this point, that is like, well, we don't know enough, or I don't want to offend anyone. I think if we are kindly curious and we are open to share our experiences and ask questions and get to know people and listen to them, we can create a really great inclusive culture. So it's listening, education, and action. Like, we talk about listening and education, it's great, we do it, but we do need action. And where I see the action coming in, and this was one of the things that I mentioned in the article, was that companies need to start seeing having a more diverse workforce as affecting their bottom line, because you need to open up where you are, like your pool for recruitment. So you need to look at a more diverse workforce. So in that way, you should be bringing more people in, creating a more inclusive culture. You would retain more people in that way if you have a good culture, because if you have a high turnover, people leave. I think it's 2.5 times more I think it might be higher than that, would it cost the company to actually hire a new person versus holding on to good talent. So you could lose people in that way. But also, people look at the company culture when they are applying for a job. So you could, even before starting, lose great talent because they're not looking at your company because you don't align with their culture, beliefs, understanding, and it's a work-life balance. I think one of the things that COVID has taught us is that, there is a better way of working together, that you can be flexible, you can have a hybrid way of working. So people are looking for more. So I think that is one of the things that, people can do is offer that flexibility. Again, going back to the culture, the other thing is it affects your bottom line when you are looking at, and I'll put being sustainable in that as well. So that attracts talent when you are a company that is an ethical company that is looking at sustainability, when you're looking at the circular economy. So these are the things that people are looking at. But then also, if you go to tender and you try and you want to get new business, there are more things that clients are looking for. again with alignment. So it's looking at your employees' experience and you're looking at your client's experience. And if you don't align with that, that is definitely going to affect your bottom line. So it is something that people need to look at. It is going to be future-proofing your business, and it's not just the right thing to do.
Absolutely true.
Yeah, I mean, I always fly the flag that it is the right thing to do. But I think, sometimes we do have these really honest conversations with our members, and they say, well, I really need to keep the lights on. I really need to grow my business. And so if you're thinking of Maslow's hierarchy of needs for us marketeers out there, right, you want to look at how do you suppose it's like, feeding yourself. What is the essential things that you need? And a business owner, they need to do that. They need to keep their business going. And then is that, how can I look after my team if my business isn't successful? So if you break it down to saying that this is actually a part of your success strategy for your business, I think it's a different conversation and you change the narrative.
Absolutely agree with you. And like you said, a diverse organization can be more innovative, attract and retain talent, which ultimately benefits companies as well.
Yes. So it's banging that drum and saying, this is not just, something that you show on paper or that you share on social media. It's not this sort of image, right? It is actually something that you need to practice and believe in. Belief is the thing that's going to get us through this.
And I love what you said about, having that genuine curiosity and learning and educating oneself. So I think coming from a place of that authenticity and genuine curiosity could actually be really helpful.
Yes. I mean, it's so interesting to learn about different people. What might work in one region might not work in another region. And you're growing as individuals, as groups, as and being more accepting of all other cultures. I think that that would be utopia for me. Is that we're all just curious and we want to learn more about each other. So that we can find commonalities and we can celebrate our differences, but feel that, there's more that brings us together than that divides us, because we all have good core values that I think drive us as, people in the industry forward. One of the other things that I think is very admirable about our technology industry is that a lot of the people and the members I speak to that have their own business, they said it came from they wanted to help other people, because ultimately that's their business, right? They service, we want to help you do business better. We want to take that pain away from you. So that is their mindset and where they come from. And that is why we have a great community where people volunteer their time, because they ultimately want to make the industry thrive and successful, but also giving back to help society. There's so many attractive advantages to being a part of the technology industry.
Absolutely. And I think it is because of these initiatives and these companies that we have been or can be seen progressive up until this point. But like you said, we just need to keep walking on this road, don't we?
Yes, we absolutely do. And it's fun as well, right? It's great to learn new things. Great people, everyone that I meet, it's just a new adventure to learn about other people, learn new things, and the fact that technology changes at such a fast pace, right? Like you're constantly learning. I think everybody in this industry has this continuous learning mindset, which is fantastic. So again, if somebody's second guessing wanting to go into the industry, there's just so many ways you can enter the industry. There's so many paths. And it's exciting. You can travel, right? You learn new things. You go to different places. It isn't the stigma or the in coding or Yes, you can code. There's an option for you to do that, but that doesn't define the industry. And I think that's the other thing. We need to kind of pull that veil up and say there's so much more that people can do in the technology industry. And I think the other thing is it's called the technology industry, but ultimately it's the people that matter.
Exactly. And that's what I love so much about this industry. It's the people, it's how fast-paced it is, and, all those opportunities to learn. And you're absolutely right. That kind of veil needs to be taken off, that it is not, although it's called technology, it does not equate with technical. And, we are in marketing, and there's so much opportunity for other cross-functional skills in this industry. So absolutely, that's something we need to bang the drum about and keep doing that.
Yeah. And also you just made me think about the transferable skills. So I know that some industry leaders that I spoke to, they said, we look for the grit and tenacity when we hire someone. And I was like, oh, that's really interesting. How do you put grit and tenacity on a piece of paper, on your CV, on your resume? How do you do that? And they said, we actually ask people about the milk route scenario. And I was like, oh, okay, tell me more. And they said, well, we look for people that when they were younger, they had a part-time job or they had a milk route. And it's like, it shows that when you were younger, you had this will and drive to get up in the morning, to do something that was out of scope, not just going to school. And it was a bit of a sacrifice, right? But, and also you wanted to earn money. You had this entrepreneurial kind of spirit about you. And that was what they would sort of tailor their questions around when it was in the interview. And I thought that was fascinating, because those are the type of people that you can then, and talking about those barriers to the industry or perceived barriers, the technology can be taught, the skills can be taught. It's that attitude and bringing your authentic self with grit and tenacity to do things is what people are looking for now in the industry. So I think that's fascinating. And then also those transferable skills from other industries, because again, with COVID, we had certain industries that just did not do as well as the technology industry. We were, I would say, the heroes of the moment, connecting people working from home, making sure that businesses were still running. And there were people that weren't so lucky. But coming into this industry, if you, a lot of people were looking at that customer service side of things. So the hospitality industry, there were a lot of people that were coming over because they said in the technology industry, we could do with people that have that customer service side of things that we could use and then skill them up in other areas. So that's another thing to look at, is don't feel that because you might have been in a different industry that you are not able to make that transition over to the technology industry, because your skills, most of the skills in other industries can be useful in the technology industry.
Exactly. And that's such an interesting example. It's almost like two ways from, for somebody outside of this industry, for them to have an open mind that those transferable skills are very much something they can look to adapt to the technology industry. But equally, the way we recruit, and I love that example you gave, it's almost like looking beyond just what that experience is and being open-minded again to tap into that pool of talent which is out there, and hence, in a way, getting more diversity in this industry.
Absolutely. That is, for me, it's, and again, with the opportunity for people to work from home or have a hybrid working environment, that opens up the pool even more. So people might have been restricted because they weren't living in the city centers, or they had mobility issues. So again, we now see this opportunity where we can expand that pool even more for more diversity and more inclusion, and give people the opportunity to show that it's not just certain categories of people that qualify for this industry. We are a very open and inclusive industry, and we need to get the word out there. We also want to share that even if you're curious about the industry, we have ways to share information with you. And again, with our members, people that we talk to want to share experiences and then want to, be a mentor or, So there's, again, it really is a great industry to work with. It's just making sure that also you put some skin in the game. Just what you put into it is what you get out of it. So we actually have, there's a training program that we have with another company. There's about 70 students that we're going to talk about, and we talk about durable skills. So they are 16, 17-year-olds, and they're going through a certification program. But we thought, we have these members that are business owners, they're senior executives in the industry. What could they share with these teenagers that'll give them that edge, that advantage when they go looking for a job? Is it how to write a resume, what to put forward, create a LinkedIn profile? Those are the things, but like what to put in there. It's again going back to that milk route. Like they could put in that they volunteered, that they've got a certification, just to build up their profile and really start nurturing them to be ready for the workforce. And we're calling it from learning to earning is our what we're trying to achieve. But we are trying to just break down those barriers and those walls for people to really see that the industry is there are so many ways to get involved.
That sounds fantastic. That sounds like a really interesting program.
Yes, it really is. And also very brave of our members to try and hold the attention of 16 and 17-year-olds for a full hour. I take my hat off to them. That is an achievement in itself.
I agree. That's great. So that is, that sounds really interesting, attracting more talent in this industry. And Estelle, you've had a fantastic career journey. How do you think women can progress their career in this industry? Any tips around that?
Yes. So I would say know who your allies are, and men and women, like people that you're working with, people that you engage with. So, and this goes back to building up a strong network. So build up a strong network, understand people that are there to help you. And by you helping someone else can also grow your career, right? So don't just think about having a mentor, maybe be a mentor to others. And you don't have to be at the C-suite to be a mentor. You could be the new person coming in and say, hey, I just have fresh eyes. I'd love to just share my perspective. So the giving back in any way like that is really a way to create a little platform for yourself, and again, stand out in a good way. So we don't want to stand out in a bad way, stand out in a good way to progress. I would say also, we mentioned continuous learning. So there's things that you do in your day-to-day job, but if there's an opportunity, if you see something that's happening, any goals within the company that you would like to learn more about, I would say don't wait for someone to give you that direction. Do it as a side hobby, or listen to some podcasts, or, and for me, a podcast is great because you can still be doing the dishes or hanging out the washing, or something that you're doing while you're doing a bit of a mundane task, just to expand your horizon again. And so I would say know who your allies are. Make sure you build your network out. Go out and you have so many opportunities, face-to-face meetings and gatherings and learning. That is great. But sometimes life gets, busy. So webinars are a great way to do that as well. Of course, I'd say, be positive on social media, share any learning. So if you are if you see any top tips, if you see any resources that you found interesting, 9 times out of 10, someone else might find that interesting as well. So it costs you nothing to just go, hey, I found something great on, and share that out on your social media platform. So those are the things. The other thing I would say is know your worth. So if you're doing something day to day, and this is something that I need to get better at, right? So if you have a little notebook somewhere, you have your tablet or whatever you capture your notes on, and as your day progresses and you do something that brings you joy, that you think you move the needle on, write it down. Because at the end of the month, you're going to have a whole long list of things that you've done that has been positive and that's been and it's made an impact in what you do. So when you come to the point where you have a conversation about career progression, you don't have to be going through the archives or go, oh, scratch your head, what are the things that I did? You would actually have a list of achievements and accomplishments and things that you've done outside of the scope of your normal job that you already have, that you can say, that's what we don't, and it's, obviously having a great conversation then with your manager and sharing that with them on a continuous basis so that when that list comes, they probably know that list already, but it's so powerful to have that in place when you have a review because memories are short. You don't know what's going on in someone else's life where they could have had a bad day or a bad week or a bad month. It's great to have those things documented and you feel good about it as well. So that's just a small tip as well, just like keep some things documented and that helps you with career progression within your business, within the company you are. And also if you're looking for another company that you think is a better fit for you, it builds out your resume as well.
That's such good advice. That's very practical tips that, absolutely we can start doing today.
Yes, exactly. And it doesn't take any massive effort. It's just about, conditioning yourself to get into that good habits.
Brilliant advice. Thanks a lot, Estelle. One final question from me is, if you were given a second chance in life, is there anything you would do differently in your career?
Ooh, learn more languages.
That's a good one.
I would learn languages. I think, again, when you're talking about being inclusive and just, the world has become so small now. And I think it's just, I've actually just downloaded Babbel. I'm brushing up on my Dutch because I can understand a little bit. So, but I think for me, learning another language isn't just so that you can, converse, which is important, but for me, it's also a sign of respect for someone else's culture to at least be able to greet them and say hello and say, ask them how they are or what is your name? And, so those are the kind of things. And that's what I'd like to, I'd like to have a couple of more languages under my belt.
And you're right. I mean, that's a really good way of connecting with someone as well. When, you make that effort and you show that kind of respect, then you're helping, kind of building that connection and relationship with them as well.
Yes. And I mean, even if it's broken and absolutely rubbish, people appreciate you making the effort, right?
Absolutely.
And it really is, yeah. And the other thing is humor is a great thing. So even if you get it wrong and it's in a respectful way, you laugh about it. And that, that brings the bond closer as well.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much, Estelle, for joining me today. It was great talking to you. Such good advice and tips. And a big thank you to all our listeners. Bye for now.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this special series, Coffee with Women in Tech, from B2B Tech Talk with Ingram Micro. This was hosted by Harpreet Narang. Tune in again to listen to another great story. To not miss an episode, subscribe today in your favorite podcast platform.